My name is Lydia Bell, and I was 38 years old when my sister tried to cut my son out of my grandmother's 80th birthday portrait inside St. Brigid's Church. On Sunday, October 9th, the whole Bell family stood beside the altar steps while the photographer adjusted her tripod and my son Noah held Grandma Rose's white rosary in both hands. My sister Celeste leaned toward the photographer and said Noah could stand near the candles, where guests would not notice him. Noah was 10 years old, adopted, nervous in his navy blazer, and trying so hard not to make trouble that he kept looking at my shoes instead of anyone's face. My mother stood 2 feet away and pretended to straighten her pearl bracelet. Then Celeste looked at me with that calm, polished smile she used when she wanted cruelty to sound like good manners and said, "Lydia, don't make this harder than it has to be. He knows what he is." One portrait was at stake, but so was every family dinner, every Christmas card. Every time my son had been treated like a guest in the family I had carried on my back for years. What Celeste did not know was that I had a sealed envelope in my purse, a copied page with a raised notary seal, and a priest standing close enough to hear every word. Before that hour ended, someone would be asked to leave the center of Grandma's picture, but it was not going to be Noah. If you listen long enough, you will understand why my sister stopped smiling. The moment my son looked up at Father Mateo and asked, "Can I ask him what the old book says?" For a second, nobody moved. The church still smelled like incense and lilies from the Mass. The tall candles beside the altar flickered in their red glass cups, and the October sun came through the stained glass window over the choir loft, laying blue and gold pieces of light across the worn stone floor. Grandma Rose sat in the wooden chair the ushers had carried from the parish hall. She had a white shawl around her shoulders, her silver hair pinned carefully, and a birthday corsage drooping a little, because she had hugged too many people after communion. Her hands shook that year. Arthritis has made her fingers curl, so before the opening hymn, she had pressed her white rosary into Noah's palm and whispered, "Hold this for me, sweetheart. You're steadier than I am." Noah had taken the job like it was sacred. He held it all through the readings. He held it when my cousin Martin sang too loudly off-key. He held it when Grandma wiped her eyes during the blessing Father Mateo gave her at the end of Mass. And he was still holding it when my sister told him to stand by the candles like he was a vase that needed moving out of the shot. I saw his thumb rub the smooth center metal. He did not cry. That was the part that hurt me most at first. He had gotten very good at not crying in public, because before he came to me, crying had not always made adults kinder. He just looked at me and waited to see which version of the world we were in. The one where I told him to be patient, or the one where somebody finally told the truth. Celeste clapped once, softly, the way she did at committee meetings. "All right," she said. "Grandma in the chair. Mom, you're on her left. Brianna, come stand behind Grandma's shoulder. Lydia, you can be on the end." She did not look at Noah when she said the next part. "Noah, honey, stand over there by the candles. You'll still be nearby." The photographer hesitated behind her camera. Her assistant, a young woman named Tessa, looked down at the printed shot list clipped to her board. I noticed her eyebrows pull together. My mother, Elaine, reached one hand halfway toward Noah. For one clean second, I thought she might do it. I thought she might say, "No, Celeste. He belongs with his grandmother." Her fingers hovered near his shoulder. Then Celeste looked at her. My mother lowered her hand. That detail stayed with me. Noah turned to Father Mateo, who was standing near the altar rail with his hands folded in front of him. "Father," he asked. His voice was small, but the church carried it. Father Mateo looked at him with the patience of a man who had heard confessions for 30 years and knew when a child was carrying more than one question. "Yes, Noah?" Noah swallowed. "Can I ask you what Grandma meant about the old book?" Celeste's smile held for half a second longer than it should have. Then it changed. Not much. Only someone who had been watching her face for 38 years would have seen it. I saw it. The chapel door behind us creaked as Mr. Reyes, the retired sacristan, stepped in from the side hall with a brass key ring in his hand. And that was when Celeste stopped arranging the family and started watching me. Welcome back to By Then I Knew, where the quiet parts of family stories finally get said out loud. If you have ever been treated like the dependable one, the easy one, the person everyone leans on but nobody protects, stay with me. This story is about a boy with a rosary in his hand, a grandmother who understood exactly what her family was capable of, and a record book my sister thought was too old to matter. I have replayed that morning so many times that I can still hear the photographer's tripod clicking open. But the story did not start beside the altar steps. It started years earlier, in my mother's kitchen, with Celeste sitting at the breakfast table while I stood at the counter making everybody's coffee. That was usually where we stood, Celeste in the center, me near the sink. When we were girls, people called Celeste a natural belle. She had our father's dark eyes, our mother's neat smile, Grandma Rose's cheekbones, and a way of entering a room like she already belonged to the best chair. She remembered birthdays if there was a party attached. She volunteered when someone might take pictures. She could cry in a way that made adults pass her napkins and apologize even when she had started the fight. I was the other kind of daughter. I remembered which drawer the thermometer was in. I knew Grandma's blood pressure medicine had to be taken after food. I could find a lost permission slip, fix a jammed printer, scrape ice off my mother's windshield, and call the insurance company without getting flustered. By the time I was 14, my mother was saying, "Ask Lydia, she knows," so often that it stopped sounding like praise and started sounding like a job title. Celeste got called sensitive. I got called capable. Those words do not land the same in a house where everyone needs something. When our father left, Celeste was 17 and I was 13. He did not slam doors. He did not make a scene. He packed 2 suitcases while my mother sat at the kitchen table with a cigarette burning untouched in the ashtray. Celeste cried in her room for 3 days. My mother brought her soup and stroked her hair. I learned how to call the electric company because the bill was overdue. Nobody asked if I was sad. Grandma Rose was the only person who noticed that the capable child still had a face. She lived 5 blocks from us then, in a pale brick bungalow with marigolds by the porch and plastic covers on the good sofa. Every Friday after school, I walked there and helped her sort coupons, water plants, and fold church bulletins for St. Brigid's. She would put a mug of cocoa in front of me, even when it was warm outside. "You are allowed to sit down before you are useful," she told me once. I did not know what to do with that sentence. I was 12. I sat anyway. Grandma had belonged to St. Brigid's since she was a baby. Her parents had been married there. Her children had been baptized there. My grandfather's funeral mass had been held there with 6 white candles around the casket, and Grandma sitting in the first pew with her spine straight and a tissue folded perfectly in her hand. To Celeste, the church was a stage when she needed one. To Grandma, it was a record of who had been loved, buried, forgiven, and remembered. I work with records now, which people in my family used to laugh about. I am the municipal records coordinator for our county clerk's office. That means I spend my days in a basement room that smells like old paper, dust, and the lemon cleaner the night crew uses too heavily. I handle property indexes, birth record amendments, notarized affidavits, archived meeting minutes, and the kind of documents people forget exist until somebody dies, lies, or sells land. Celeste once told her husband at Thanksgiving, "Lydia alphabetizes dead people for a living." Everyone laughed. I smiled and passed the rolls. It is funny how often people mock the skill they will later need. I did not plan to become Noah's mother, not in the way people mean when they say plan. I had wanted children, but marriage had not happened for me, and by 32, I had stopped answering my mother's questions about whether I was still trying to meet someone. I became a licensed foster parent after a coworker told me the county needed emergency placements for older children and sibling groups. I told myself I was only opening a room. I was not prepared for a child to open everything else. Noah came to me on a Tuesday night in March with a gray backpack, 2 shirts, a plastic dinosaur from a fast food meal, and a cough he kept trying to hide. I know you said not to use that word, but that was really what he had. I threw the toy away 2 weeks later because it was cracked and sharp at the edge. It was not important. Noah was. He was 8 then, small for his age, with watchful brown eyes and hair that curled at his temples when it rained. The social worker said, "This may be short term," while Noah stared at the kitchen clock, like he was measuring how long adults usually stayed kind. The first thing he asked me was not where he would sleep. It was, "Do I have to call you something?" I said. "You can call me Lydia until something else feels right." He nodded like I had passed a test. He called me Lydia for 7 months. Then one afternoon after school, he came into the kitchen with a scraped elbow, held it out to me and said, "Mom, do we have Band-Aids?" I answered him before my heart knew what to do. "In the second drawer." Grandma Rose met Noah the first Sunday I brought him to family dinner. He wore a green sweater I had bought on clearance, and he stayed close enough to my chair that his sleeve brushed mine every time someone laughed, too. Loudly, Celeste said, "He's adorable," in the voice people use for puppies and centerpieces. My mother said, "Well, this is generous of you, Lydia." Grandma put down her fork. "No," she said, "it's family." Noah looked at her then. Grandma did not reach across the table too fast. She did not ask him questions about where he came from or what had happened before. She asked if he liked mashed potatoes. When he said yes, she gave him the corner with extra butter because she said that was the part children understood best. From that night on, Grandma called him her boy. Not my foster boy, not Lydia's child, her boy. When the adoption became final 18 months later, Grandma came to court wearing her navy church dress and a brooch shaped like a small silver dove. Noah wore a tie that kept twisting sideways. My mother came late because she couldn't find parking. Celeste sent a text with 3 heart emojis and said Brianna had a volleyball banquet. Grandma sat behind us with her purse on her lap and cried silently through the whole proceeding. After the judge asked Noah whether he understood that I would be his legal parent forever, Noah looked at me, then at the judge and said, "I think she already was." I had to look down at the table. Afterward, in the hallway outside courtroom 3, Grandma gave Noah a card with $20 inside and wrote, "For my grandson, on the day the paperwork caught up." I still have that card. Celeste did not come to the little lunch afterward. She said she had a migraine. That evening, she posted a photo of herself and Brianna at a dessert place with the caption, "Celebrating family traditions with my girl." I remember seeing it while Noah was asleep on the couch with his new court-stuffed bear tucked under his arm. I told myself not to be petty. I told myself people show up in different ways. That is one of the lies useful people tell themselves so they can keep setting the table. For a while, I thought Grandma's love would be enough to pull the rest of them into place. She corrected people gently but firmly. If someone said, "Lydia's a dog," Grandma would say, "My grandson Noah." If Celeste introduced him as our little blessing, Grandma would say, "He's 10 now, and he likes being called Noah." When my mother sent Christmas cards that said Elaine Bell, daughters Celeste and Lydia, and grandchildren Brianna and family, Grandma called her and asked who family was. My mother said, "You know what I mean." Grandma said, "That's why I'm asking you to say it correctly." But Grandma was getting older, her hands got worse, her hearing faded in her left ear. She stopped driving at night after she clipped a mailbox pulling out of the church parking lot. More and more, I became the person who took her to appointments, checked her pill organizer, read insurance letters, and fixed the television when she had accidentally changed the input. Celeste became the person who posted pictures with her. There was one Mother's Day when I spent 3 hours at urgent care with Grandma because her ankle had swollen badly, then drove her home, picked up her prescription, and made her scrambled eggs because she had not eaten. That evening, Celeste posted a picture from Grandma's porch. Grandma looked tired but smiled because Brianna had brought flowers. The caption said, "Honoring the woman who taught us what family means." Noah saw the post over my shoulder and asked, "Were we there?" I locked my phone. "No, honey," I said. "We were at the pharmacy." He nodded like that made sense. Kids notice the math adults pretend not to calculate. By the time Grandma's 80th birthday approached, Celeste had built a whole event around it. She called it Rose Bell's Legacy Mass and Portrait Celebration, which made Grandma laugh so hard over the phone that she started coughing. "It's a birthday," Grandma told me, "not a coronation." But Celeste loved the idea of legacy. She made a private Facebook event, ordered ivory invitations, reserved the parish hall, contacted a photographer from the next county, and asked Father Mateo if Grandma could receive a special blessing after communion. She also proposed a family portrait in front of the old altar rail. Grandma agreed to the mass and the photo on one condition. "Noah stands with me," she told Celeste. Celeste told me this herself by accident. We were in my mother's kitchen in late August, sorting through old pictures for a slideshow. Celeste had a stack of glossy prints spread across the table, most of them featuring her, Brianna, and Grandma at various church functions. I had brought a shoebox of older photos Grandma had asked me to scan. Celeste picked up one of Noah helping Grandma plant basil in a coffee can on her back steps. "This one is sweet," she said. "Maybe for the informal part." I looked at her. "What informal part?" "The slideshow before lunch," she said. "We're keeping the portrait more traditional." My mother paused at the sink. I heard it. Traditional. That was one of Celeste's soft words. It sounded harmless until you saw who disappeared under it. "Grandma asked for Noah beside her," I said. Celeste's smile stayed relaxed. She also asked for Father Mateo to sing on Eagle's Wings, and he said no. Not every request fits the program. My mother gave a small laugh. Too quick. I slid the Biddle photo back into my shoebox. "That's not the same." Celeste's eyes flicked toward Mom, then back to me. "Lydia, please don't start. No one is excluding him. There will be plenty of candid pictures." There it was, candid, not portrait, not legacy. Not the one that would be framed in the parish archive display and mailed to relatives and placed on Grandma's mantle. Candid meant he could exist as long as he did not define the family. I did not argue then. I had learned that Celeste liked arguments because she could perform being reasonable. If I raised my voice, she got softer. If I named the hurt, she named my tone. If I pushed my mother's side and said, "Can we please not do this today?" So I picked up my shoebox and said, "I'll ask Grandma what she wants." Celeste tapped one fingernail on the table. "Grandma is 80. She wants everyone happy." "No," I said. "She usually wants people honest." My mother looked tired all at once. "Lydia, just my name. In our family, my name could be a warning, a scolding, a request for labor, or a door closing." I went to Grandma's house that afternoon instead of going home. Noah was at Ruth Delaney's, our neighbor, making oatmeal cookies, because Ruth believed every child should know how to measure cinnamon without dumping half the bottle. Grandma was in her recliner with a heating pad over her knees and a stack of church envelopes on the side table. "Celeste is using the word traditional," I said. Grandma closed her eyes. "Oh, Lord." She said there will be candid pictures. Grandma opened her eyes again. They were pale blue and sharper than people expected from someone whose hands shook when she held a teacup. "Bring me my brown folder," she said. I got it from the desk in her spare room. Grandma had always kept papers in folders labeled with blue painter's tape because she did not trust sticky labels. The brown one said St. Brigid's in her slanted handwriting. Inside were baptism certificates, old parish letters, a copy of my grandfather's funeral program, and an envelope from a notary office downtown. Grandma took the envelope but did not open it yet. "Your sister likes pictures," she said. "I like records." I remember the hum of her refrigerator. I remember a lawnmower starting across the street. I remember thinking that her voice sounded tired but not weak. "What did you do?" I asked. What I should have done sooner. She handed me the envelope. "Keep this copy. The original is with Father Mateo." I looked at the seal but did not read the whole page then. Grandma put her hand over mine. "Not today," she said. "I don't want you walking into every room already bleeding." So I slid the envelope into my purse and sat with her while she told me which old photograph she wanted in the slideshow. Noah with Basil. Noah asleep beside her old dog. Noah wearing a paper crown from his 10th birthday. Noah holding her hand in the hospital after her cataract surgery. I did not understand yet why the notary date mattered. I would. 3 weeks before the birthday mass, Celeste emailed the program draft to the family. It was formatted beautifully, of course. Ivory background, blue border, a picture of St. Brigid's front doors at sunrise. Grandma's full name in elegant script, Rosemary Ann Bell. I read it at my desk during lunch with a plastic container of leftover rice beside my keyboard. The grandchildren's sections listed Brianna and my cousins Martin Jr. and Kate as bringing up the gifts. Noah's name was not there. I read the line 3 times. Then I forwarded it to Celeste with one sentence. Grandma asked for Noah to participate. Where should he stand? She replied 9 minutes later, trying to keep things smooth. The older kids understand the flow better. Noah can sit with you and come up for the photo after. I stared at the word after. After what? After the public blessing? After the gifts? After the part people would remember? I did not answer. Instead, I printed the email and put it in a folder at work, labeled Rose's birthday. It was not dramatic, it was habit. When something felt off, I kept the original. That afternoon, I picked Noah up from school. He climbed into the car with a folded paper in his hand, cheeks pink from the cold. "Grandma said I should wear my blazer," he said. "When did she say that?" "She called Ruth's house while I was there yesterday. She said navy looks handsome in church pictures." I gripped the steering wheel. "That's true. Do you think Aunt Celeste will let me stand by Grandma?" The question came too casually. Children test dangerous water with quiet voices. "Why are you asking that?" He shrugged and looked out the window. Brianna said the big picture might be blood family first. I waited until a stop sign before I answered. "What did you say?" I said Grandma is my family. My throat tightened so fast I had to look both ways twice. "What did Brianna say?" She said, "Yeah, but you know what I mean." There was that phrase again. You know what I mean. So many unkind things hide under that sentence. When we got home, I helped Noah hang his blazer on the back of his bedroom door. He smoothed the sleeves like it was armor. "Mom? Yeah. Is it bad if I ask Grandma before the picture?" "No," I said. "It is never bad to ask where you belong." That one might sound like a lesson now. But in that room, it was just a mother trying not to cry in front of a child who had already learned too much. The next suspicious thing happened by accident. 4 days before the Mass, I was at work scanning a set of old zoning maps when my phone buzzed. The text came from a number I did not recognize. "Hi, Lydia. This is Tessa with Marlowe Photography. Celeste said you were handling Grandma Rose's mobility needs. Attached is the final shot list, so we can plan chair placement. Let me know if she needs extra time between groupings." There was a PDF. I opened it. My office scanner whined behind me, dragging a map through too slowly. I remember the smell of toner and old tape. The shot list had 10 groupings. Full family, grandma with daughters, grandma with grandchildren, grandma with great-grandchildren, Bell women, Bell cousins, parish legacy photo. Under grandma with grandchildren, it read, Rose seated. Brianna behind left shoulder, Snowa seated or standing at Rose's right holding rosary if desired, Martin Jr. and Kate behind. Noah had a place. Not a vague place, not Candid's, a specific place beside Grandma's right side. I saved the message. At 6:12 that evening, Celeste sent a family group text. "Hi all, small adjustment for Sunday. Photographer wants to move quickly after Mass. Formal legacy photo will be blood relatives in the first round. Then blended Lunded groupings afterward. Please help kids understand so nobody feels confused." Nobody feels confused. I stared at the screen while Noah did math homework at the kitchen table. My mother liked Celeste's message with a heart. Then Brianna wrote, "Got it." Nobody else answered. I took a screenshot. Then I printed the message. Then I opened my purse and pulled out Grandma's envelope. I had not read it fully before then. Some part of me had been afraid of needing it. The envelope was cream-colored, from O'Rourke Notary Services on Market Street. Grandma's handwriting across the front said, "For Lydia, if anyone gets clever." I laughed once, but it came out wrong. Inside was a copy of a notarized statement. The stamp was raised. The date was July 21st. Father Mateo's name appeared as witness. So did Aldo Reyes, retired sacristan. At the top, in Grandma's careful printing, it said, "Statement for Saint Brigid's Parish Family Registry." I did not keep reading right away. I put my hand flat over the paper and looked at Noah, who was chewing the end of his pencil and whispering 6 times 8 under his breath. Dix. There are moments when you understand that protecting your child may require letting someone else reveal who they are. I folded the paper back into the envelope. Then I texted Father Mateo. "Father, this is Lydia Bell. If the family record is needed Sunday, may Noah ask you directly?" He did not answer for almost an hour. When he did, his reply was short. "Yes, Mrs. Bell prepared us for that possibility." I sat down at the kitchen table. Noah looked up. "Is something wrong?" "No," I said, because for once that felt almost true. "Finish 6 times 8. 48, he said. "That's right." He smiled. I wanted to keep him inside that small success forever. The day before the Mass, my mother called while I was ironing Noah's blazer. I had the phone on speaker on the kitchen counter. Steam rose from the iron. Ruth had sent over a lint roller because she said Navy showed every crumb a child had ever met. "Lydia," my mother said, "I need you to be calm tomorrow." That was how she started. Not hello, not how are you. I set the iron upright. About what? You know how Celeste gets when she's organizing. She has a lot on her. She changed Noah's place. A pause. "I don't know all the details. You know enough to call me." She sighed. "Please don't make your grandmother's birthday about adoption politics." I closed my eyes. Adoption politics. Not Noah's heart, not Grandma's wishes, not Celeste cruelty. Adoption politics. "Mom, did you hear Celeste call the photographer?" Another pause. This one answered me. She was trying to avoid awkwardness, my mother said. "For whom?" "Lydia." There was my name again, lowered like a lid over a pot. I looked at Noah's blazer. He had asked me to iron it twice, even though it did not need it. "She is going to hurt him in front of everyone," I said. My mother's voice softened. That almost made it worse. "He's young. He'll take his cue from you. He should be able to take his cue from his family. I just don't want a scene." That was the moment I hoped she would choose differently. I really did. I thought of all the years I had answered her late-night calls, fixed her online banking, driven her to dental surgery, replaced the battery in her smoke detector, sat with her when she cried about my father, and pretended not to notice when she called Celeste first with good news and me first with problems. "Mom," I said quietly, "do you believe Noah is Grandma's grandson?" She did not answer right away. Then she said, "In the ways that matter, of course." I took the phone off speaker and held it to my ear. "In the ways that matter to whom?" She exhaled like I was being difficult. "Please just get through tomorrow." And there it was. Get through, absorb it, manage it, smile around it. Keep the peace by letting the child pay the price. I hung Noah's blazer on the pantry door and turned off the iron. After the call, I did not cry. I wanted to. Instead, I packed my purse, tissues, cough drops, Noah's allergy medicine, 2 granola bars, the printed program, Tessa's original shot list, Celeste's revised group text, Grandma's sealed envelope. I put the envelope in the inside pocket. Then I sat at the table and wrote one note to myself on the back of an old grocery receipt. "Do not argue with what the record can say." I folded that too. Sunday morning was bright and cold. Noah woke before his alarm. I heard him moving around at 6:30, opening and closing drawers too carefully. When I knocked, he was standing in front of his mirror, wearing his white shirt, navy pants, and socks, but no blazer yet. "I can't get the top button," he said. I crossed the room and helped him. His hair was still damp from the shower. He smelled like mint toothpaste and the little dab of cedarwood hair cream he liked, because Ruth had told him it made him look like a young gentleman with somewhere important to be. "You look handsome," I said. "Do I look like family?" The question hit so hard I almost missed the button. I made myself keep my hands steady. "You look like my son." He looked at me in the mirror. "And Grandma's grandson?" "Yes." He nodded. "Okay." Ruth knocked on our front door at 7:15 with a paper bag in one hand and a safety pin tucked into the collar of her sweater. "I brought muffins," she said. "And I'm not asking whether you ate breakfast, because I know the answer." Ruth Delaney lived next door in a yellow house with wind chimes on the porch and a ceramic goose she dressed for holidays. She had been the secretary at Noah's elementary school for 22 years before retiring, which meant she could smell a child's worry from across a parking lot. She had become our emergency contact after Noah came home with a fever one day, and my mother did not answer her phone because she was at lunch with Celeste. Ruth answered on the second ring. By the time I got to the school, Noah was in the nurse's office with a papier towel on his forehead and Ruth sitting beside him, reading aloud from a book about space. After that, she stayed, not loudly, not dramatically. She just started being there. She picked Noah up when my meeting ran late. She taught him how to make scrambled eggs. She came to his school concert and clapped like he had played a solo instead of standing in the back row, holding a cardboard moon. That morning, she handed Noah a muffin wrapped in a napkin. "For your pocket after Mass," she said. "Church events run long, and adults forget children are powered by snacks." Noah smiled for the first time that day. At St. Brigid's, the parking lot was already half full. Celeste had arranged blue and white balloons near the parish hall entrance, even though Grandma had said balloons were for car dealerships and toddlers. A printed sign on an easel read, "Celebrating Rose Bell. 80 years of faith, family, and legacy. Legacy again." Celeste stood near the vestibule in a cream dress, pearls, and low heels, holding a clipboard like a shield. Brianna stood beside her in a pale blue dress, scrolling on her phone. My mother wore a lavender suit and the pearl bracelet she touched whenever she wanted to look occupied. "Lydia," Celeste said when we entered. "You're early." Noah wanted time to see Grandma. Celeste's eyes moved over him, paused at the blazer, then went back to my face. "Very nice," she said. "Not handsome. Not Grandma will love that. Very nice." Noah said, "Hi, Aunt Celeste." "Hi, sweetheart." Sweetheart from Celeste always sounded like a sticker placed over a crack. Grandma was in the front pew with Father Mateo kneeling beside her, speaking close to her good ear. She brightened when she saw Noah. "There he is," she said. Noah walked faster, then remembered he was in church and slowed down. Grandma held out both hands. He took them carefully. "Look at you," she said. "That blazer was the right choice." He stood straighter. She turned to me. "Did you bring the envelope?" I felt Celeste behind me before I saw her. "Yes," I said. Grandma nodded once. Celeste stepped closer. "What envelope?" Grandma smiled. "Old lady business." Celeste laughed, but it was too thin. "Well, no paperwork today," she said. "Today is about joy." Grandma looked at her. "Joy survives paperwork." Father Mateo coughed into his hand, but I saw the corner of his mouth move. The pew cards were arranged on the first 3 rows. I noticed Noah's name almost immediately because it was not where it should have been. The first pew had cards for Grandma, Elaine, Celeste, Brianna, me, and 2 cousins. Noah's card sat on a small side table with extra programs next to cards for Ruth, the photographer, and a parish council member. "Friends of family." I picked it up. Celeste appeared at my elbow. "Oh, seating changed," she said. "The front pew is tight with Grandma's walker. Noah can sit with me." "Of course he can," she said, smiling toward a woman from the Altar Society who was passing by. No one said otherwise. Ruth, who had seen everything, walked over and gently took the card from my hand. "I'll hold this until you know where you want him," she said. It was such a small thing, no speech, no outrage, just one adult refusing to let a child find his own name on the side table. That mattered more than people like Celeste ever understand. Before Mass began, Grandma called Noah close again. "My hands are bad today," she whispered. I was close enough to hear. She lifted the white rosary from her purse. It was old, with smooth beads and a small silver crucifix worn soft at the edges. She had carried it at my grandfather's funeral. She had held it the night my father left. She had wrapped it around her fingers during my adoption hearing for Noah, even though the court officer told her religious items should stay in her purse. "Will you hold it for me?" she asked Noah. His eyes widened. "During Mass." "The whole thing," he nodded. "I won't drop it, I know." Across the aisle, Celeste saw the handoff. Her mouth tightened. I filed that away. The Mass itself was beautiful in the way familiar things can be beautiful even when your stomach hurts. Father Mateo spoke about a life measured, not in years but in names remembered, meals served, children taught to pray, doors opened. Grandma sat between my mother and Celeste, but she kept looking over at Noah. When it was time for the gifts, Brianna and my 2 cousins walked up the aisle with the bread, wine, and a small bouquet for the Mary statue. Noah stayed beside me. Rosary looped through his fingers, watching with an expression I could not read. I leaned close. "You okay?" he whispered. "Grandma saw me." I looked at Grandma. She had turned in the pew and was watching him instead of the procession. "Yes," I said. She did. After communion, Father Mateo called Grandma forward for a blessing. My mother and Celeste helped her stand. I started to rise too, but Celeste gave a tiny shake of her head, the kind meant only for me. Noah noticed. So did Ruth. Father Mateo did not. Or maybe he did and waited. Grandma took 2 slow steps, then stopped and looked back. "Noah," she said. The church was quiet enough that people heard. Noah froze. "Come help me." Celeste's face flashed with irritation so fast most people missed it. I did not. Noah stepped into the aisle and offered Grandma his arm. He was small beside her, but he moved slowly, matching her pace. He still held the rosary in his other hand. Father Mateo placed his hands over Grandma's and blessed her. He thanked her for 80 years of faith and service, for raising children, welcoming grandchildren, and keeping St. Brigid's memory alive. When he said grandchildren, Grandma squeezed Noah's arm. I saw Celeste look away. That was not the moment that broke them. The real one came later. After Mass, the church changed from worship to logistics. People hugged Grandma. Someone brought her chair to the altar steps. The photographer, Marlowe, adjusted the tripod while Tessa checked the light. Parishioners lingered because people like to watch family rituals when they think they are witnessing something wholesome. Celeste moved through the space with her clipboard. Mom, stand by Grandma. Brianna, behind the chair. Martin, not there, you're too tall. Kate, fix your hair. Lydia, can you move Grandma's walker out of the frame? Of course. Even in the family portrait, I was assigned equipment. I moved the walker to the side aisle and locked the brakes. When I turned back, Celeste was speaking quietly to Marlowe. First round is blood family only, she said. Then we'll do extended. Marlowe glanced at Tessa. Tessa looked down at her board. I saw her thumb move across the original shot list. Noah stood near Grandma's chair, still holding the rosary. Grandma reached for him, but Celeste stepped between them with a laugh. Not yet, sweetheart, she said to Noah. We're doing the formal one first. Grandma's brows drew together. He's formal. A few people chuckled, thinking it was a sweet old lady joke. Celeste bent toward Grandma. I know. Grandma, we'll do all the combinations. Let me handle this. Grandma looked at me over Celeste's shoulder. I gave her the smallest nod I could. Not yet. That was hard. Harder than I expected. Every part of me wanted to walk to Noah, take his hand and leave. But leaving would have given Celeste exactly what she wanted. A photo without him and a story about how Lydia overreacted. So I stayed. Celeste clapped her hands softly. All right, everyone. Formal legacy portrait. Rose seated, Elaine to her left. I'll be on her right. She touched the back of Grandma's chair. Brianna behind us. Lydia, you can stand near the end with the cousins. I did not move. Noah looked at me. Celeste finally turned to him. Noah, honey, stand by the candles. He blinked. Grandma asked me to hold her rosary. And you did such a good job, Celeste said. Now just stand over there so you're still nearby. He looked at the candle stand. It was 6 feet from the chair, near a side statue and a rack of votive lights. A child placed there would be in the room, but not in the family. Will I be in the picture? He asked. The question came out plain. A few people stopped talking. Celeste's smile hardened. We'll do one with everybody after. That one? He pointed toward the tripod. Celeste lowered her voice, but not enough. This is the legacy photo. Noah's thumb rubbed the rosary medal. Grandma said, I'm in her legacy. The silence after that was different, not complete. You could still hear someone in the back stacking hymnals. You could hear a baby fuss in the vestibule. But the people near the altar steps went still. My mother shifted. Celeste, she whispered. For 1 second, again, I hoped. Celeste looked at her sharply. My mother touched her bracelet and said nothing else. Celeste turned to me. Lydia, don't make this harder than it has to be. He knows what he is. There it was. The sentence landed in the church like something dropped on stone. I felt heat rise in my chest. My hands went cold. Noah looked down at the rosary. Grandma's face changed. Father Mateo, who had been speaking to Mr. Reyes near the sacristy door, looked over. Tessa stopped writing. Celeste must have felt the room hilted, because she tried to soften her voice. We love Noah, she said, and somehow that made it worse, but this is Grandma's family record photo. People get confused later when pictures don't reflect the actual lineage. Actual lineage. I heard Ruth inhale behind me. I did not answer right away. I thought of my work basement, the rows of archive boxes. The people who came in after funerals insisting a deed must say what their father promised. At dinner. I thought of old women who saved receipts in cookie tins because they knew nobody believed them until paper spoke. I thought of Grandma writing, if anyone gets clever, across the envelope. Then Noah lifted his head. He did not look at Celeste. He looked at me. I wanted to tell him he did not have to do anything. I wanted to say we could leave, go to Ruth's, eat muffins in our church clothes, and never give these people another chance to hurt him. But Noah had heard Grandma, and sometimes children remember the honest sentence better than adults remember the polite lie. Mom, he said quietly, can I ask Father Mateo? My throat closed. I nodded. He turned. Father Mateo walked toward us. Yes, Noah? Noah swallowed. Can I ask you what Grandma meant about the old book? Celeste's smile froze. What old book? Brianna whispered. Noah kept his eyes on the priest. Grandma said if anybody got mixed up, the old book knew where I stood. My mother closed her eyes. That told me she had known more than she admitted. Celeste laughed once. It was a terrible sound. Oh, sweetheart, Grandma says all kinds of things. Father has a lot to do today. Father Mateo did not look at Celeste. He looked at Grandma. Mrs. Bell, he said. Would you like the family registry brought out? Grandma's voice was thin but clear. Yes, Father. Celeste stepped forward. I really don't think that's necessary. Father Mateo turned to her then. Since the word legacy has been used, I think Mrs. Bell's record may be relevant. Celeste's face colored. This is a family matter. Yes, Father Mateo said. That is what the record concerns. Nobody spoke. Then Celeste made her mistake. There is no record that makes him what he isn't, she said. She meant it for me. She meant it for Noah. She meant it for everyone standing there. The old family rule wrapped in church clothes. Father Mateo's expression did not change, but something in his eyes settled. Mr. Reyes, he said, would you bring the Bell Registry volume, please? Mr. Reyes had been standing near the side hall in his gray suit, holding his brass key ring. He was 71, thin, with careful hands and a quiet way of moving through church spaces, like he did not want to disturb the dust. He had been the sacristan at St. Brigid's when I was a child. He knew which floorboards creaked and which candle lighter worked if you shook it first. He nodded and disappeared through the side door. The chapel door creaked behind him. Celeste turned to me. What did you do? I looked at her. Nothing in this room started with me. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Lydia, if you embarrass Grandma on her birthday, Grandma interrupted. One word. Celeste turned. Grandma sat in her chair with both hands gripping the arms. Her corsage trembled against her shawl. You embarrassed me when you moved him. Celeste looked like she had been slapped, though no one had touched her. Grandma, I was trying to protect the family photo. Grandma looked at Noah. So was I. Tessa approached Father Mateo with her clipboard. Father, she said softly, I have the photographer's list Mrs. Bell approved in August, and the revised one we received this week. Celeste snapped. That is vendor paperwork. Tessa flinched but held the board steady. I liked her for that. Father Mateo took it. Thank you. Marlowe, the photographer, shifted uncomfortably behind the tripod. I'm sorry, she said. We were told there had been a family change. A family change? Grandma repeated. Marlowe looked at Celeste, then at the floor. I reached into my purse. My fingers found the envelope. I did not pull it out yet. I wanted Celeste to have every chance to stop making it worse. She did not. This is ridiculous, she said. We all love Noah. No one is saying he can't be in photos. But a legacy portrait has meaning. It's for the bloodline. It's for Grandma's descendants. Father Mateo looked at her for a long moment. Then Mr. Reyes returned, carrying a large, dark green book with cracked corners and a brass clasp. He held it with both hands, not because it was heavy, though it was, but because some objects make decent people careful. The room changed when people saw it. Old books do that. Even people who ignore living voices lower themselves a little before ink that has survived them. Mr. Reyes placed the book on the small table near the altar rail. Father Mateo opened it. The pages were thick and cream-colored, filled with decades of names written in different hands, baptisms, marriages, funerals, family memorial notes. The Bell section had tabs because Grandma had been, as Father Mateo once told me, very specific. Celeste crossed her arms. My mother whispered, Lydia, please. I turned my head. For once I did not answer her. Father Mateo found the page marked with a blue ribbon, Mrs. Bell came to my office on July 21st, he said. She asked that a statement be entered into the parish family registry. Mr. Reyes was present. The statement was notarized before it was entered. Celeste shook her head. Grandma didn't understand what she was signing. Grandma sat up straighter. Oh, I understood you. That was the first time Celeste looked afraid. Not ashamed. Afraid. Father Mateo looked at Grandma. May I read the relevant portion? Yes. He adjusted his glasses. I could hear Noah breathing beside me. Father Mateo read slowly, not loudly. I, Rosemary Ann Bell, known in this parish as Rosebell, request that St. Brigid's parish record, Noah James Bell Hayes as my grandson in all family legacy references, memorial materials, and parish family history connected to my name. A sound moved through the people gathered near the altar, not a gasp exactly, more like the room taking in air it had been holding. Father Mateo continued, I further request that at my 80th birthday mass and family portrait, Noah be placed beside my chair, at my right hand if possible, because he has stood beside me in every way that matters. Noah's face changed. His mouth opened a little. He looked at Grandma, then at me, then at the book. Grandma reached out one shaking hand. He went to her immediately. Father Mateo kept reading. This request is made freely and with full understanding. No member of my family is authorized to remove him from my legacy record by preference, omission, photograph, program, or private definition of blood. Private definition of blood. Celeste's own word had walked into a wall. My sister looked at the book like it had betrayed her. Father Mateo stopped there. He did not read the rest. He did not need to. I pulled the envelope from my purse and placed Grandma's copy on the altar rail. I have the copy Grandma gave me, I said. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. Father Mateo nodded. Yes, she told me you would. Celeste stared at me. You planned this. No, I said. Grandma did. Mr. Reyes cleared his throat. Everyone looked at him. He held his hands in front of him, fingers laced. Mrs. Bell asked me to carry the book myself today if needed, he said. She was concerned the portrait instructions might be changed. Celeste said nothing. Tessa lifted the clipboard slightly. And the original shot list has Noah beside Mrs. Bell, she said. It was changed later by request from Celeste Whitaker. Marlowe whispered Tessa, but she did not tell her to stop. Celeste turned on the assistant. You have no idea what you're talking about. Tessa's cheeks went red, but her voice stayed even. I have both emails, that was all. Not an accusation, not a speech. Just the things Celeste had forgotten about written records. They wait. Brianna had gone pale behind Grandma's chair. Her phone hung loose in her hand. She looked at Noah, really looked at him, and then looked down. My mother stepped towards Celeste. Maybe we should just take a minute. Celeste seized on that. Yes, exactly. We should talk privately. This is not appropriate in church. Father Mateo closed the registry gently. What was not appropriate, he said, was asking a child to stand outside his grandmother's family in front of her altar. No one moved. Grandma held out the rosary. Noah, she said, give me my beads a second. He placed them in her hand. Her fingers curled around them slowly, painfully. Then she wrapped the rosary back around his hand, bead by bead. You stand here, she said. He nodded, but his eyes were wet now. Did I ruin your birthday? Grandma made a No, sweetheart. You saved me from smiling through a lie. Celeste covered her face for 1 second, then dropped her hands. Grandma, that is unfair. I've done everything for this day. I made the invitations, I arranged the mass, I booked the hall, I handled all of it. Grandma looked at her. You handled too much. That landed harder than shouting would have. Celeste turned to my mother. Mom. My mother looked from Celeste to Noah, to the old book on the table. This was her third chance that day, maybe her last. She took a breath. I waited. Then she said, Lydia, can we please just take the picture and discuss this later? Not Celeste, apologize. Not Noah, I'm sorry. Lydia, manage this. The old ache moved through me, familiar and dull. I understood something then that I should have understood years before. My mother was not confused about who was hurt. She was only afraid of the person who made hurt expensive. I turned away from her. Marlowe, Father Mateo said, please take the portrait, according to Mrs. Bell's registered request. Marlowe looked relieved to be given instructions by someone other than Celeste. Yes, Father. Celeste straightened. I am not standing in a photo where my family is being made into a spectacle. Grandma looked tired suddenly. Then don't. The silence after that was almost merciful. Celeste blinked. What? Grandma rested one hand on Noah's shoulder. If standing beside my grandson is too much for you, stand somewhere else, Brianna whispered. Mom. Celeste looked around the room, measuring faces. That was what she did when she lost control. She checked the audience for exits. There were no good ones. Parishioners were pretending not to stare and absolutely staring. My cousins had gone silent. Tessa held the shot list. Reyes stood by the registry. Father Mateo waited with the patience of a closed door. Celeste tried one last turn. "We are still family," she said, voice trembling now. I was trying to make sure Grandma's picture made sense. Grandma said, "It does now." Marlo cleared her throat. "Mrs. Bell, where would you like everyone?" Grandma smiled at Noah. "Right here." He stood beside her right side, close enough that her shoulder touched his arm. His hand rested lightly on the chair back. The white rosary looped around his fingers. My mother stood to Grandma's left, stiff and pale. I stood on the other side of Noah because Grandma reached for me too. "Lydia," she said. "Not the end." I moved beside my son. Brianna stood behind Grandma, crying quietly now. My cousins arranged themselves without jokes. Celeste remained near the side aisle, breathing hard. Father Mateo looked at her. "Celeste, you may join the photo if you can stand where Mrs. Bell asks." Celeste's chin lifted. "And where is that?" Grandma did not hesitate. "Beside Elaine. Not beside Grandma's chair, not in the center. Beside our mother, one step removed from the place she had tried to guard." Celeste looked like she might refuse. Then she saw Tessa's clipboard, Father Mateo's face, Mr. Reyes beside the old book, and all the parishioners who would remember if she walked out. She took her place. For the first photo, her smile looked like a seam under strain. Marlo counted down. 3, 2, 1. The flash went off. Noah did not smile right away. The first picture caught him serious, eyes still damp, fingers wrapped in Grandma's rosary. Marlo took another. This time Grandma whispered something. I later asked Noah what she said. He told me she said, "Show your teeth, honey. Let them work for the frown." He smiled. So did I. After the portrait, Celeste moved fast. She crossed the altar steps and reached for the clipboard in Tessa's hand. "I need copies of all files before anything is sent out," she said. Tessa pulled it back. "Our contract is with Mrs. Bell," she said. Celeste laughed. "My grandmother is 80. I signed the booking form." Marlo stepped in then. "Payment came from Rose Bell's check," she said, "and the delivery instructions list Lydia Bell as the recipient contact." Celeste turned to me so quickly, her pearl necklace shifted. "What?" I had not known that part. Grandma had more plans than she told me. I looked at Grandma. She seemed suddenly fascinated by the rosary in Noah's hand. Marlo continued, looking apologetic but firm. "We'll send proofs to Lydia and Mrs. Bell. No images will be altered without written approval from Mrs. Bell or her listed contact." Celeste's face tightened. "Lydia is not in charge of this family." Nobody answered. That was the problem with statements like that. Sometimes the silence afterward tells the room the opposite. The lunch in the parish hall was supposed to be cheerful. There were white tablecloths, blue napkins, chicken salad croissants, fruit trays, and a sheet cake with pale roses in frosting. Celeste had made little cards for each table with Grandma's favorite Bible verses. The centerpiece at table 1 had a framed photo of Grandma and my grandfather on their wedding day. For the first 20 minutes, people behaved like the church confrontation was a storm that had passed overhead but left branches in the road. They hugged Grandma. They wished her happy birthday. They told Noah he looked handsome. Some of them meant it. Some were trying to repair discomfort they had not caused. A few looked at Celeste and then looked away. Ruth sat with us without asking permission. She put a plate in front of Noah with a croissant, grapes, and 2 pickles because she knew he liked pickles more than cake. "You did fine," she said softly. Noah looked at her. I asked a question. Good questions are useful things. He took a bite of pickle. That was Ruth. No grand speech, just food and the next breath. Celeste lasted until after the cake. Then she came to our table with my mother behind her. Brianna hovered near the drink station, red-eyed and miserable. "We need to talk," Celeste said. I set down my fork. "No." My mother blinked. "Lydia, don't be childish." Noah's shoulders rose. Ruth noticed and reached for the water pitcher. I said, "Not here. Not with him sitting here." Celeste looked at Noah, then softened her face in a way that made my skin crawl. "Noah, honey, I'm sorry if you misunderstood earlier." He stared at his plate. I put my hand on the table, not touching him, just close enough for him to know I was there. Celeste continued. "Adults were trying to manage a complicated family situation, and sometimes children hear things in a way that hurts their feelings." Ruth's hand stopped on the water pitcher. I said, "Do not put this on his hearing." Celeste's eyes flashed. "I am trying to apologize." "No," I said. "You're trying to make him carry your sentence differently." My mother whispered. "Enough." I looked at her. It was enough when he was standing by the candles. She looked away. Celeste leaned closer. You think a church note changes reality? I could have answered a lot of ways. I could have said reality was Grandma asking for him. Reality was the adoption decree in my file cabinet. Reality was every fever, lunchbox, nightmare, parent-teacher conference, lost tooth, and grocery receipt of our life together. Reality was Noah's hand in mine when the judge said forever, but I was tired. So I said, it changed the picture. Celeste's mouth tightened. That's all you care about? No, I said. That's all you tried to take in public. My mother sat down across from me. She looked older than she had that morning. Lydia, your sister made a mistake. I looked at her bracelet. She had twisted it so much that one pearl had turned inward. She made a plan. Celeste scoffed. Oh, please. I opened my purse and pulled out the printed pages, not the registry note. Father Mateo had already handled that. I pulled out the program draft, Tessa's original shot list, Celeste's revised group text, and the screenshot with my mother's heart reaction beneath it. I placed them on the table, not dramatically, just one page at a time beside the paper plate with my uneaten cake. Celeste stared. My mother did too. You heard the call, I said to Mom. Her face crumpled slightly. I didn't know she would say it like that, but you knew she would do it. She did not answer. That was answer enough. Celeste grabbed the group text printout. You printed our family messages? I looked at her. I work in records, Celeste. For once, nobody laughed. She pushed the paper back toward me. You are unbelievable. No, I said. I am done being surprised. Brianna approached then. Her phone was clutched in both hands. Mom, she said, voice shaking. Can we go? Celeste turned on her. Not now. Brianna looked at Noah. I'm sorry, she whispered. Noah did not answer. I did not make him. Celeste looked furious. Brianna, you have nothing to apologize for. Brianna wiped her cheek. I moved his pew card. My mother closed her eyes. Celeste's face went white. The table went quiet. I had not known that detail. Ruth had suspected, I think, because she looked less surprised than the rest of us. Brianna kept talking, words rushing now. You told me to put it with the other cards because Aunt Lydia would make a thing if she saw it first. You said he'd sit wherever she sat anyway. Celeste gripped the back of a chair. That is not what I meant. Yes, it is, Brianna said. It always is. Then she walked out of the parish hall. No one followed her for a moment. Finally, my mother stood. I'll check on her. Of course she would. Celeste watched Mom go, then turned back to me. This is what you wanted? My daughter crying? I looked at Noah. His face was tired in a way a child's face should not be tired. No, I said. I wanted my son not to be sent to the candles. Celeste had no answer for that. The consequences did not all happen at once. Real life is usually slower than the satisfying version people imagine. There was no dramatic banishment from the family. No lawyer bursting into the parish hall. No shouting match under the crucifix. There was a photograph. There was a record. There were people who saw. And then there were the days after, when everyone tried to decide which version of themselves they could still sell. The first email came from Father Mateo the next afternoon. He thanked me for allowing the parish record to clarify a painful matter, which was very priestly and very kind. He also wrote that because of the incident, Celeste would no longer coordinate the Bell family portion of the upcoming saint. Brigid's anniversary archive display. Any materials related to Grandma Rose would be reviewed directly with Grandma and me. I read that email twice at my desk. Then I forwarded it to Grandma, who called me 5 minutes later. Did she faint? Grandma asked. Who? Cest? No shame, Grandma said. I laughed for the first time in 2 days. The proofs arrived on Thursday. Marlowe sent a gallery link to me and Grandma. I opened it after Noah went to bed because I was afraid of what I would feel. There were 37 photos from the church. Grandma blessing, Grandma with parish friends, Grandma laughing over cake, Noah holding the rosary, Celeste smiling too hard, my mother looking away. Then the formal portrait. In the first frame, Noah looked solemn. In the second, he smiled. Grandma sat in the center with the white shawl around her shoulders, Noah at her right hand, me beside him, my mother to Grandma's left. Celeste one step farther out, Brianna behind Grandma with red eyes but a real expression. It was not a perfect picture. It was better than perfect. It was honest. I ordered 3 prints, one for Grandma, one for our house, One small one for Noah's room, because he asked for it. Celeste called 14 times that week. I did not answer. She texted first with anger. You humiliated me at church. Then with accusation. You turned Grandma against me. Then with family language. We need to heal from this together. Then with concern. I'm worried you're isolating Noah. That last one almost made me respond. Not because I believed it, because it was so familiar. Celeste knew how to take the thing she had done and hold it near your face until you defended yourself instead of naming her. I did not answer. Instead, I wrote one email to my mother. It was not long. I told her that from that day forward, I would coordinate Grandma's medical appointments only directly with Grandma. I would no longer manage family events, group gifts, photo projects, parish communications, prescription pickups for anyone except Grandma when Grandma asked me, or emergency tasks routed through Celeste. If my mother needed help, she could ask directly, with respect, and I would decide based on my capacity. I read it 3 times before sending. My hands shook when I clicked the button. Not because it was cruel, because it was clear. My mother called 9 minutes later. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was 42 seconds. Lydia, this feels very harsh. I know Sunday was upsetting, but families have misunderstandings. Your sister is devastated. Grandma is too old for conflict. I don't know why everything has to become a record with you. Call me. I saved the voicemail. Then I made Noah dinner. Spaghetti, salad from a bag, garlic toast a little too dark on the edges. He ate quietly. After a while, he said, Are we still going to Grandma's on Fridays? Yes, I said. If Grandma wants us. Does Aunt Celeste go? Not when we go. He twirled noodles around his fork. Good. I did not correct him for that. The next Friday, Ruth drove with us to Grandma's because she said 3 people could carry groceries faster than 2. She brought tomato soup in a jar and a loaf of sourdough bread. Grandma was in her recliner wearing sweatpants and the birthday corsage dried upside. Down on the lamp beside her, Noah ran to her, carefully, but he ran. She hugged him with one arm and patted the chair beside her. I have something for you. From the table, she picked up a small velvet pouch. Inside was the white rosary. Noah looked scared. Grandma, that's yours. Yes, I shouldn't take it. You're not taking it, she said. You're keeping it where I can find it. He looked at me. I nodded. He closed his fingers around the pouch. Grandma said, I carried it when I needed remembering. Now you can. He did not understand all of that then. Maybe he still doesn't. But he understood enough to sit beside her and lean his shoulder gently against her arm. Ruth went into the kitchen like she had been there all her life and started heating soup. Grandma looked at me. Did your mother call? Yes. And? I didn't call back. Grandma nodded. Good, I smiled. You're supposed to tell me to forgive people. I'm Catholic, she said, not foolish. Noah laughed so hard he snorted. For a few minutes, the house felt like the kind of family I used to think had to be earned. 2 weeks later, Celeste came to my office. She should not have known where to find me during public hours, but my mother had probably told her. I was at the front counter, helping a man request a certified copy of a deed, when I saw Celeste through the glass doors in a camel coat and sunglasses, on top of her head. She looked out of place among the metal chairs, public notice boards, and people waiting with numbered tickets. I finished with the man, handed him his receipt, and called the next number. Celeste stepped forward. I'm not taking a number to talk to my sister. I looked at her. This is a public office. Take a number. The clerk beside me coughed to hide a laugh. Celeste's face went red. She took a number. 20 minutes later, she was at my window. What can I help you with? I asked. Her eyes narrowed. You are enjoying this? No. You've always wanted to make me look bad. I thought about that. Celeste had looked bad because she told a child he did not belong in church, in front of a priest, beside a record that said otherwise. But saying that would only give her something to fight. So I said, What do you need? She leaned closer. I need you to tell Father Mateo that the archive thing was a misunderstanding. The anniversary committee thinks I'm some kind of monster. I kept my hands folded on the counter. What do you want me to say? That Grandma was emotional. That Noah asked a confusing question. That you and I have handled it privately. We have not handled it privately. Because you won't answer me. Correct. Her mouth tightened. Lydia, don't do this. We are sisters. There it was. The emergency version of family, I said. You told my son to stand by the candles. She glanced behind her. A woman in a red coat was pretending not to listen from the chairs. Celeste lowered her voice. I already said I'm sorry if he was hurt. No, I said. You didn't, she stared at me. Fine, I'm sorry. For what? Her jaw moved. For the photo situation. I waited. She looked furious. For making him feel excluded. I waited again. For excluding him, she snapped. The office went quiet around us. Not fully. Phones still rang. A printer hummed, but the people close enough to hear had stopped pretending. Celeste realized it and stepped back. You set me up. No, I said. I asked what you were sorry for. She looked at me the way she had looked at the old registry book. Like my calm was the betrayal. Then she said, you know, he's going to ask questions one day. About where he really came from. I felt the old heat rise. This time, it did not move my voice. He already knows where he came from, I said. And he knows where he sleeps now. Her eyes flicked away first. I slid a blank public records request form through the window. Do you need a county record today, Celeste? She stared at the form. Then she turned and walked out. I did not tell Noah about that visit. Some adult ugliness does not need to be handed to a child just because it happened near his name. But I did tell my supervisor I did not want family members approaching my window again for personal matters. She said, about time, which told me I had been less invisible at work than I realized. Brianna's apology came by mail, not text, not social media. A real envelope addressed to Noah in careful handwriting. He brought it to me after school. Do I have to open it? No, can you? Yes. Inside was one page. Noah, I am sorry I moved your card. My mom told me to, but I did it. I knew it was mean. I was embarrassed and I didn't stop. You don't have to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Brianna Noah listened without moving. Then he said, can we put it in the drawer? Which drawer? The one with court stuff. I knew what he meant. The drawer in my desk where I kept his adoption decree, his first school picture after moving in, Grandma's court card, and the birthday candle shaped like a 10 from his last cake. Sure. He took the letter from me and put it there himself. He did not answer Brianna for 3 months. When he finally did, he wrote, thank you for saying it. That was all. I mailed it without adding a note. My mother took longer. She was used to my silence, meaning I would eventually return to normal. I had trained her to believe that. I cannot pretend I had no part in it. For years, I had let time soften things that needed names. I had accepted half apologies because dinner was getting cold. I had driven over after cruel comments because someone needed a ride to the doctor. I had told myself I was being mature when sometimes I was only making it easier for them to avoid repair. 3 weeks after the Mass, Mom came to my house. She did not call first. She knocked at 7:30 on a Tuesday night while Noah was brushing his teeth. I opened the door but did not step back. She stood under the porch light in a gray coat, looking smaller than usual. Can I come in? Noah's getting ready for bed. I won't stay long. I stayed in the doorway, her eyes filled. That used to work on me. I miss you, she said. I believed her. That was the hard part. I miss who I kept hoping you'd be, I said. She flinched. Lydia. I asked you if Noah was Grandma's grandson. She looked down. I said yes. You said in the ways that matter. I didn't mean you did. A car passed slowly on the street. Ruth's porch light flicked on next door. I saw her curtain move. She was not spying. She was being available. My mother wrapped her arms around herself. I was trying to keep peace between my daughters. No, I said. You were asking one daughter's child to disappear so the other daughter wouldn't be angry. She began to cry then, quietly, not performatively. I think she really meant it when she said, I don't know how to fix this. For a moment, I almost gave her instructions, apologized to Noah. Stop defending Celeste. Tell the truth without soft words. Come alone to Grandma's, ask before assuming. Say his name correctly. The list rose in me like muscle memory. Then I stopped. I had spent my life handing people the map to my own hurt and calling it love. I can't do the work for you anymore, I said. She wiped her cheek. Can I see him? Not tonight. Lydia, I'm his grandmother. I looked at her. Then start acting like it when it costs you something. She had no answer. I said goodnight and closed the door gently. Not slammed. Not locked loudly. Just closed. Inside, Noah stood at the end of the hall in his pajamas, toothbrush still in his hand. Was that Grandma Elaine? Yes. Is she mad? I think she's sad. Are you sad? I thought about lying. Yes. He nodded. Can we read 2 chapters? Yeah, we read 3. By Thanksgiving, our life had changed in ways that looked small from the outside. We no longer attended Bell family group dinners. We visited Grandma directly on Fridays and sometimes Sunday afternoons. Ruth came often, bringing soup, bread, or gossip from the school board meetings she still claimed not to care about. Father Mateo stopped by Grandma's once with a photocopy of the parish anniversary program draft, so Grandma could approve her section herself. Noah's name was in it twice. Celeste hosted Thanksgiving at my mother's house and sent an invitation through Mom. I declined. Mom wrote, "Your sister wants to move forward." I wrote back, "Forward requires facing the direction you walked." I almost deleted that because it sounded too polished. Then I replaced it with something plainer. "Noah and I are staying home." That was better. We ate at Ruth's kitchen table instead. She made turkey breast, mashed potatoes, green beans, and a pumpkin pie with a crack down the center that she called structural honesty. Grandma came for dessert. Noah wore sweatpants and the white rosary pouch in his hoodie pocket because he said he liked knowing where it was. At one point, Grandma looked around the table and said, "This is nice." Nobody said what we were all thinking, that it was peaceful, that no one had to earn a chair, that the food tasted better without someone measuring's belonging across the room. In December, the framed portrait arrived from Marlowe. I had ordered the second shot, the one where Noah smiled. The frame was simple dark wood, Grandma's choice. I brought it to her house on a Friday afternoon. Noah carried it inside like a museum piece. Grandma made us hang it in the living room, directly across from the sofa, where everyone would see it. The old family portrait from 10 years earlier had been there before, Celeste in the center. Me at the edge with one eye half closed because nobody bothered taking a second shot. Grandma pointed with her cane. "That one can go in the hallway." I took it down. Behind it, the wall was a slightly darker rectangle where sunlight had not faded the paint. Noah watched me hang the new photo. "Is Aunt Celeste mad about this one too?" "Probably. Does that matter?" I held the frame steady while Grandma judged whether it was level. "No," I said, "not in this house." Grandma nodded. A little I moved it. There, we stepped back. In the picture, Noah stood beside Grandma's chair with the rosary in his hand. I stood beside him, not on the end. Celeste was in the photo, but she was not the story it told. That was the part she could not forgive. A few days before Christmas, she tried one final time. She came to Grandma's house while Noah and I were there, carrying a tin of cookies and wearing a red coat that made her look ready for a holiday card. My mother was with her. I later learned Mom had told her not to come, which was new, but had come along anyway, which was not. Grandma was at the kitchen table addressing Christmas cards. Noah was helping seal envelopes with a damp sponge. Because Grandma said licking them was barbaric, Celeste walked in without knocking. "Merry Christmas," she said brightly. Noah went still. I stood from the counter. Grandma looked over her glasses. "Doors still work, Celeste." Celeste ignored that and set down the cookie tin. "I brought your favorites." "Did you bring an apology?" Grandma asked. My mother closed her eyes. Celeste's smile trembled. "I was hoping we could not do this today." Grandma capped her pen. "You keep choosing days." Celeste looked at me. "I want to talk to my sister." "No," I said. She blinked. "No? No." "Lydia, this has gone on long enough." I folded the dish towel in my hand. "I agree." Relief flashed across her face too soon. Then I said, "That's why Noah and I are done discussing it." Her mouth opened. My mother whispered, "Cella ceased." Maybe. But Celeste had already turned toward the living room. She saw the portrait on the wall. Her face changed. "You hung it there," Grandma said. "It's my wall." Celeste walked toward it slowly. In the photo, her own forced smile looked back at her from the side. Noah stood where Grandma had placed him. "This is humiliating," she said. Noah spoke before I could. "Why?" Celeste turned. He was standing beside the kitchen chair, sponge in hand, looking more curious than afraid. "What?" she said. "Why is it humiliating?" The room went completely quiet. Celeste looked at me. As if I had trained him, I had not. Noah was 10. He asked direct questions, because he had spent enough of his life decoding indirect cruelty. Celeste's eyes filled, but the tears were angry. "Because everyone knows what happened." Grandma said yes. Celeste looked at her. "You don't care." "I care very much. About Lydia." "About Noah," Grandma said. About Lydia, about the truth. In that order today. My mother sat down at the table like her legs had given up. Celeste pressed her fingers to her mouth. I made one mistake. I thought of the missing program name, the revised shot list, the pew card, the candles, the sentence, the lunch, the office visit, the archive request. No, I said, you made one mistake in public. She looked at me then with real hatred for half a second. Then it passed, replaced by the softer face, the fake love face. We're sisters, she said. I don't want to lose you. I believed that she did not want to lose what I did for her. The copied documents, the rides for Mom, the gift coordination, the family dates remembered, the way I absorbed her sharp edges and still showed up with napkins. But I did not believe she wanted me, not enough to stand next to my son without being forced. She stepped closer. Please, let's just be family. I looked at the portrait, then at Noah, then at Grandma's white rosary pouch, sitting beside the Christmas cards. I said the sentence I had not planned, but it arrived whole. Yes, Grandma made sure everyone else did too. Celeste stared, for once. She had no smooth answer. She left the cookies on the table and walked out. My mother followed after a moment, but at the door she turned back. I'm sorry, she said. I waited. She looked at Noah. I'm sorry I didn't speak up for you. Noah held the sponge in both hands. Okay, he said. It was not forgiveness. It was not rejection. It was a child accepting a sentence without agreeing to carry the adult who said it. Mom nodded like she understood at least that much. After they left, Grandma opened the cookie tin. Oatmeal raisin, she said, disappointed. She knows I hate these. Ruth, who had arrived halfway through and was standing in the back doorway with a grocery bag, said, Good. More room for the pie I brought. Noah laughed. The sound loosened something in the room. Christmas came quietly that year. No big bell dinner. No group photo. No matching sweaters Celeste used to insist were for Grandma, even though Grandma hated being dressed like a choir. Noah and I went to the early children's mass with Ruth. Grandma did not come because it was too cold, so we brought her communion afterward, with Father Mateo's permission, and a container of Ruth's cinnamon rolls. Grandma gave Noah a small wooden box for the white rosary. On the lid, Mr. Reyes had burned his initials and a tiny cross into the corner. Inside, Grandma had placed a folded note. Noah read it alone first, then he handed it to me. It said, For Noah, who stood beside me when others made standing there harder than it should have been. Love, Grandma Rose. He kept the box on his dresser after that. Not hidden, not displayed like a trophy. Just there, beside his library card and a jar of coins he was saving for a telescope. In January, Grandma's health dipped. Nothing dramatic. More fatigue, more pain in her hands, more days when she stayed in her robe until noon. I adjusted my work schedule, not because my mother asked, not because Celeste expected it, but because Grandma asked me directly and treated my time like it belonged to me. That was new. One Friday, while Noah did homework at Grandma's coffee table, Grandma and I sat in the kitchen going through her medication list. She watched me update the spreadsheet I had made. You're good at this, she said. Spreadsheets? Keeping people from losing things. I smiled. Only when they want to be kept. She reached over and patted my wrist. I should have said more when you were little. I looked down at the pill bottles. No, she said. I said some, not enough. The refrigerator hummed. Noah's pencil scratched in the living room. Outside, a neighbor's dog barked twice and stopped. Grandma said, I watched them make you the strong one. I swallowed, she continued. I benefited from it too. You helped me because I asked. Sometimes I asked too easily. That one hurt in a clean way. Not like Celeste hurt. Not like my mother's. This one had room inside it because Grandma was not asking me to deny it. I liked helping you, I said. I know. That doesn't mean I should have let you be the only one. I wiped my thumb along the edge of the medication list. She said, Noah should not inherit your place. He won't. I said it before I knew how much I meant it. Grandma smiled. Good. The family did not vanish. People rarely do. They shifted around the new boundary, testing it like a fence. My mother sent short texts at first. How is Noah? Can I drop off his Christmas gift? Would he like to come for dinner, just us? I answered when the message was respectful and specific. I did not answer when it came wrapped in guilt. Noah saw Grandma Elaine twice that spring, both times at a park near our house, both times with me present. She brought hot chocolate the first time, and apologized again, awkwardly but without excuses. Noah told her about his science project. She listened. That was all I asked of her at the beginning. Celeste sent birthday cards with too many words. Noah opened one, read the first line, and handed it back. She says she hopes I remember we all love each other. What do you want to do with it? He thought. Recycle. So we did. Brianna improved in small ways. She came by Grandma's once in March when we were there and asked Noah if he wanted the old set of art markers she did not use anymore. He said yes. She did not mention the photo. She did not ask for forgiveness again. She sat on the floor with him and tested markers on scrap paper while Grandma watched from her chair. That was better than a speech. A year after the birthday mass, St. Bridge has held its anniversary display in the parish hall. Grandma was too tired to attend the whole reception, but she insisted on going for 20 minutes. Noah wore his navy blazer again, though it was getting short in the sleeves. The Bell family section had 3 photos. Grandma and my grandfather on their wedding day, Grandma holding my mother as a baby, Grandma's 80th birthday portrait. Under it, a small typed card read, Rose Bell with her daughters, grandchildren and family, October 9th. No explanation, no footnote, no adoption language, just family. Celeste was at the reception. She stood near the coffee urn with my mother, wearing a green dress and a careful smile. When she saw the display, her face tightened, but she did not approach us. Father Mateo greeted Noah by name. Mr. Reyes shook his hand like he was grown. Ruth took a picture of Noah standing beside the display, and then pretended she had something in her eye. Grandma stayed only 15 minutes. On the way out, she paused near the old registry table, where several historical books were displayed under glass. That old book caused quite a fuss, she said. Noah leaned close to the glass. Can people still write in it? When something needs remembering, Grandma said. He nodded. On the drive home, Noah fell asleep in the back seat, blazer bunched under his chin. Grandma sat beside me in the passenger seat, looking out the window. After a while, she said, You did well. At the Mass, with your life. I did not answer because I could not. She patted my arm once and let me be quiet. Grandma Rose died the following spring, 19 months after her 80th birthday. She died in her own bed, with the window cracked open because she liked fresh air, even when it made everyone else cold. Noah and I were there. So was my mother. Celeste arrived 10 minutes too late and sobbed in the hallway, which may have been grief and may have been guilt, and was probably both. At the funeral, Noah placed the white rosary in Grandma's hands. He had asked me if he should keep it. I told him Grandma had given it to him. She said I was keeping it where she could find it, so he brought it back. That was his choice. Before the casket closed, he touched the beads once and whispered something I did not hear. The funeral program listed him as grandson. Not adopted grandson, not Lydia's son, grandson. Celeste did not challenge it. I think she knew by then that the paper would not bend for her. After the burial, my mother asked if Noah and I would come to the house. I looked at Noah. He shook his head just slightly. No, I said, we're going home. Mom nodded. She looked sad, but she did not argue. Celeste stood behind her, eyes swollen. Lydia, she said. I waited. She seemed to search for the old version of me. The one who would step toward her pain because it was near me. The one who would take the first kind sentence and build a bridge out of it before she had repaired the road. I miss us, she said. I thought of the altar steps, the candle's question, Grandma's hand closing over his. There wasn't an us that included him, I said, so I'm not going back to it. She cried harder. I felt sorry for her. That surprised me. But feeling sorry for someone is not the same as handing them the keys again. Noah took my hand. We walked to the car. Ruth was waiting beside it with 2 coffees, 1 hot chocolate, and a paper bag of sandwiches because she said grief made people forget lunch and then act worse. She handed Noah the hot chocolate. No marshmallows, she said. They were out, I yelled internally. He smiled. That was the family I chose after the cemetery. Not perfect people, not people who never failed, people who noticed hunger, people who held doors, people who said the name correctly when no one was watching. The white rosary did not come home with us, but the wooden box stayed on Noah's dresser. He keeps other things in it now. Grandma's note. A small dried petal from her funeral flowers. The photo from her 80th birthday, trimmed to fit under the lid. Sometimes I see him open it and close it without saying anything. I do not ask every time. A child deserves some memories that adults do not turn into conversations. The portrait still hangs in my living room now. Grandma in her white shawl. Noah beside her chair, me beside Noah. Celeste visible but no longer centered. My mother looking uncomfortable in the way people look when the truth has entered the room and taken a seat. People who visit sometimes ask about it. I say, that was Grandma's 80th birthday. If they look closer and say, is that Noah holding a rosary? I say yes. I do not always tell the whole story, not because I am ashamed, because not every hard-won truth needs to be performed for strangers. But I am telling it here because somewhere, someone is standing at the edge of a family picture, being told not to make things difficult. Somewhere, a child is being asked to understand cruelty so adults can stay comfortable. Somewhere, a capable daughter is holding the paperwork, the schedule, the keys, the medicine list, and the hurt, wondering whether calm means silence. It does not. Calm can be the hand that places the right document on the table. Calm can be the mother who lets a record speak because she is done begging people to admit what they already know. Calm can be leaving the candles behind and standing where love already named you. That's my story. Grandma's white rosary, the words blood, family only, and one photograph where my son is exactly where he was always meant to stand. If someone in your life only values you when you are useful, take this as your sign to stop auditioning for a place they keep moving. Choose the people who make room before you have to ask, and if this story stayed with you, leave a comment. Tell me where you're listening from, and subscribe for more stories from By Then I Knew.